So this time I want to dedicate this video to the little warrior inside of you, to the little child inside of you who's been struggling to make sense of what's happening in the world today. So some people are calling this pandemic as a black swan event. Some people are calling it World War III, and some people are still struggling. Whatever you want to call it, it's becoming increasingly clear that the number one skill needed to survive and really thrive in these times of uncertainty is grit and resilience. Now, these skills are really, really important in these times simply because it gives you the ability to challenge yourself, grow in ways that you couldn't do otherwise, but then more importantly, rediscover who you are as a person and act upon it. Now, as we try and increase our resilience in these uncertain times, I did want to share three movies that have inspired me during such times. So, I've personally gone through two recessions. One is the dot-com bubble in 2001, and then in 2008, the financial crisis. Both when I was in the US, either at a point where I'd quit my job to pursue my MBA, my higher studies, or when I was trying to make a career change. So the number one inspiring movie that I recently saw again, probably for the, I don't know, 10th time, was a movie that released in 2014, called Whiplash. This for me was about self-belief and passion. It was about, a boy trying to become the best version of himself, and in the process how he was able to increase and really stretch himself in ways that I'm quite sure that he couldn't imagine in the beginning, and was so nicely scripted. One particular scene comes to my mind is when this boy is trying to reach this event where he's supposed to be performing, and while he's driving, he actually meets with an accident. His car crashes against a truck, an 18-wheeler that sets his car rolling. But then he's so conscious and so determined to go and perform that he comes out of that car bleeding, and you really have to see that scene to understand what I'm saying. It's got a lot of blood in it. It's got you can see that determination in his eyes. You can see his resolve to really go and do his best even in those circumstances. Now, I couldn't imagine myself doing that unless I had the kind of self-belief and passion that this boy has. In some ways, these two are the traits that really make up grit. So the number two most inspiring movie that always gives me goosebumps is The Dark Knight Rises, that released in 2012. This story really talks about infinite potential and having a growth mindset. Specifically, I remember the scene when Bruce Wayne is trying to get himself out of that prison, and his inmate is trying to help him understand why he's not able to do so. Quote unquote, the inmate says, "Fear of death is why you fail. Fear of death is why you fail. Make the climb as the child did without the rope." That really gives me goosebumps every time I think of how important it is to have a childlike mindset, is to drop your guard, is to also not be afraid of what you have to lose in order to rediscover yourself and really move to the next level of consciousness. The movie that I'm sure a lot of you have already seen is the most epic movie ever made, called Castaway, where Tom Hanks is stuck on an island, and I remember that scene very clearly where he's trying to make fire. He's talking to himself, inspiring himself, trying very, very hard, and then suddenly he sees smoke. He sees that smoke and he knows that he is succeeding. He starts rejoicing, and then he says, "I have made fire." That scene is really awesome. So it really teaches us that if you put your mind to it, you can really achieve anything. These are some lessons on self-worth, on survival, and resilience overall. And I think this movie, Castaway, really relates so much to what we are going through today, mostly with our minds. This is so much about building resilience through these times of uncertainty. So I hope these three examples of movies will bring some inspiration when you watch them again. I would really encourage you to do so. These are times where we must find ways to pick up ourselves. It can be through exercising, through doing regular meditation, or really relaxing by watching some inspiring movies like these. I'd love to know what movies have inspired you, especially on grit and resilience. So please do share and be an inspiration for the rest of the world. Thank you.